Welcome to a new episode on the Like Minded podcast show. Today, I'm very excited because we'll be discussing topics like digital workplace, future of work, end user compute, end user experience. Welcome, Minal. So, what does a typical day look like for you when you're working in this particular role at
So,
ISG?
uh, in the year I work on the future of work ISG providerless report. I would be attending 3 to 4 briefing calls, and many providers I have to visit. It's lot of calls, lot of data, lot of Excel. When the report is done and published, I also work on ISG Star of Excellence program, which actually collects data from enterprises, how satisfied they are with the service providers. I try to spend Saturdays in analyzing everything that I've learned and put it in that newsletter.
What do you define as a digital workplace?
It's a funny trivia. For many service providers, they had an end user computing team. When the market changed, they started calling that same team as
Digital work.
workplace team. And
Yeah.
then the same team as digital workplace team. Then the same team became end user experience team. When workplace becomes a real personal digital assistant, that's what digital workplace is like. You leverage a workplace that can do most of your job.
What are the trends that you have seen in this digital workplace landscape?
The focus was more on experience. All the
Right.
experience is still not owned by IT,
Right.
it's still owned by the
Right.
HR. But what is important from technology perspective is the trend is towards measuring the experience. What it all depends on that service level agreement changing to experience level
Right.
agreement or
Right.
XLAs. I think that's where the verticalization of workplace will start.
How have you seen companies measure that?
There have been traditional ways of doing those surveys and reaching out to users how satisfied you are. The modern experience management solutions can provide telemetry based analysis.
Then you've been working at ISG for so long. How is it different from other analyst firms?
ESG was known as a sourcing advisory firm for a long time. The differentiation that we brought in compared to other companies, if you look at any other vendor comparison report from any other research firm, they would say which vendor is good in what, and they would recommend a client to go with that vendor.
Right.
But after the client chooses that vendor, what happens after that? That research firm does not take the risk that the provider that you chose based on our recommendation, are they doing a good job or not?
Right.
That's where ISG comes. After we recommend the vendor, we stay with you and we make sure that that provider is doing a good job.
Hi everyone, I'm Ronak from agarwalronak.com. Welcome to a new episode on the Like Minded podcast show. Today, I'm very excited because we'll be discussing topics like digital workplace, future of work, end user compute, end user experience, and so on, which has been highly spoken about after COVID. And to do that, today I have a special guest, an industry veteran, has over 16 years of experience covering IT trends across areas like digital technologies, transformation, working with the IT services market, and also has cultivated a following on his social media platform, like LinkedIn, where he publishes digital workplace trends every week, and he's been very consistent for the past 1.5 years. And a good resource to look at. So I would urge and request everyone to subscribe. Very excited to introduce Mrinal Rai. Welcome, Mrinal. So good to have you here today.
Thank you, Ronak. Thanks for having me.
Great. And before we dive into a lot of digital workplace things that you do with a lot of the service integrators and the technology providers, looking at you, I think as a consultant, as an analyst, your position is so critical. So, what led you to this background? And what do you do in your current role at ISG Global?
So as you said, I've been with multiple firms, including some service providers, including Satyam. I started my job with Satyam when it was Satyam, and I was always part of the pre-sales team in these service provider firms, who were always into research and always finding out trends in the industries. And when we targeted some clients, I used to work on the bid proposals, the RFPs, how to best position the service provider's capability. So I did work on that. So research was not new. I was one of the clients of ISG database. So I was aware of what ISG does. And when I joined ISG, when I joined ISG in 2013, we were more like a shadow support for ISG sourcing advisors. We were the back office support, and we used to do all the research about if they are supporting a client in say Nordic region for workplace service.
Right.
So which are the providers they should look for. So those kind of databases we already had because ISG tracks deals. and we had those up to date information, and we used to help those advisors. And when the research business formally started,
Right.
I was one of the few first ones to write these ISG provider lens reports, and that's why, because I was tracking end user computing and digital workplace for a long time, supporting the advisors. So it was easier for me to develop my own analysis, and
Right.
I was anyway
Mm.
having keeping a track tab on the market, and it was really
Right. Right.
interesting to be able to express those ideas in those new reports when ISG research business started. And we were always looking at other magic quadrants or waves,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when we started doing it, we knew how difficult it is, and
Yeah.
what a reader would see just a dot on the quadrant. A lot of hard work goes in
Yeah.
there, and a lot of analysis, a lot of perception, a lot of data. So I started as a data analyst at ISG. I was working
Right.
on the
Right. Right.
Excel, and so numbers and charts, they don't scare me much because I can go through
Yeah.
those Excel files. And it's good that you should start from the basics, and now
Yeah.
looking at the numbers, when I give a perception, there is a data behind it. So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fascinating thing to do, and I'm sure all the colleagues who are in research, all of my peers in different firms will also agree to that. So those are some of the things that actually excited me to do what I do at the moment.
Right. Right. And I think for me, to be very honest, I think this is where I want to go to in future as well. In being, being an analyst, do something, because you're providing trends to a lot of these companies, and your data analysis helps organizations make decisions. So I think that's I would say thank you on behalf of so many technology companies, and because you're
So
doing.
and we learn from technologists
Yeah.
like yourself and the other firms, because it's not just always the clients, because clients also want feedback, and
Yeah.
the pace at which the technology is changing, it's always important to take inputs from everyone. Nobody's an expert at the moment,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
everybody's learning, and it's
Yeah.
always good. This is an information age, so it's good to take as many
Yeah.
inputs as possible. So we are doing our bit, the service providers are
Yeah.
doing their bit,
True.
so even
True.
clients are doing their bit. So
True,
yeah.
true, true, true. So, what does a typical day look like for you when you're working in this particular role at
So,
ISG?
in the year, I work on the future of work ISG provider lens report. I've been doing that for the last 8 years. So, if you ask me when that report work is going on, it's really like today.
Yeah.
It's really hectic. So, I would be attending 3 to 4 briefing calls
Okay.
for sure, which are 1 hour briefing call. And if a vendor wants to showcase their solution, then there's a demo
Yeah.
included. Then it would be half an hour extra. And many providers, I have to visit to their office if they want to have a one-on-one discussion. So we see
Yeah.
their demos, their labs, and their solutions, and learn from their leaders. There are some analyst events that we have to attend. So when the report
Right.
work is going on, there is no fixed schedule. So the timing of sleeping and waking up is all
Right.
messed up, and it's lot of calls, lot of data, lot of Excel, lot of,
Yeah.
and when I'm writing, again, I follow a very bad routine of writing, because I write when everybody else at my home is asleep. So
Asleep.
I have 2 kids, so they make a lot of noise, and it's good that when they're asleep, then I can write when I have some peace of mind. And of course, that's when your thought process is in line. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be a morning person. I'm not a morning person, but
Yeah.
we're trying to do that. So yeah, when the report work is there, it's completely messed up. When the report is done and published, I also work on ISD Star of Excellence program, which actually collects data from enterprises, how satisfied they are with the service providers. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm
Yeah.
working for that throughout the year. So there's a lot of analysis on that. So we look at that data every time, maybe once a week, but we are kind of generating insights almost every
Right.
day. And that's how the 5 days go by, with so, and in between, if there is a client inquiry, then we have to work on that. But in
Yeah.
that's how the 5 days go by. I try to spend Saturdays in analyzing everything that I've learned and to put it in that newsletter.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time, it goes to Sunday. So I try to publish on Saturday, but sometimes it's not possible. So I publish those newsletters on Sunday. But that's
Yeah.
how the week kind of looks like.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying, because as content creators, even if it's a small report, that takes a lot of time.
True.
And I too have 2 kids, and before this recording, I told my wife, one is gone to school, and I said the other one should sleep now because I won't be able to concentrate in this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Thankfully, they know now what kind of work I do. So even
yeah,
in this call, they are some busy somewhere outside
yeah,
watching
yeah, yeah,
television. So
yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, no, really appreciate you coming on this one. And I read a fact about you. You've done graphic novelist and comic book
Yes,
illustration as well.
yes, I am an artist. I do graphic novels and comic books as well.
Right,
In fact, I'm a published author also. I wrote
right,
my first novel in 2011. I've done
right.
some comic books. In fact, I keep them just here if I can show. So these are some of my own comic
Oh,
books that I always keep, and I'm also working on some of them.
right,
So
right,
yeah, I did just do that.
right. No, it's. I mean, I when I read about it, I thought, I'm speaking to somebody who is an artist and who has passion for something other than what we do at workplace.
Can
So in your because professionally heavily you are involved in digital workplace and future of work, especially after COVID, the definition of workplace has changed. In your work that you do, like what do you define as a digital workplace? Is anybody's listening to it and would want to know what does digital workplace encompass?
So, the way we define digital workplace today, the definition has gone broad, the scope has gone broad. So, when I started, it was end user computing, and it's a funny trivia for many service providers that I track. They had an end user computing team. When the
Yeah,
market changed, they started calling that same team as workplace team, and
yeah.
then the same team as digital workplace team. Then the same team became end user experience team, and
Yeah.
now I don't know what they're calling. So at the end of the day, they are still doing end user computing.
Yeah,
So digital workplace, to me, it's more like when you have when workplace becomes a real personal digital assistant. I used to call the word secretary, but I think the personal digital assistant is more appropriate. And that's where we don't see everybody is there yet, but that's what digital workplace is like. You leverage a workplace that can do most of your job. You, of course, nobody can replace human beings, and that's what all the
yeah.
technological innovations, be it you call it automation or artificial intelligence, the latest one, everything is kind of striving to that end to make the workplace technologies as a personal digital assistant to enable the users to do what they want to do, to
Right, right,
make their work profile available. It includes devices, it includes applications, it includes the way that they work, and the places that they work, and the network that they use to work. So everything gets included. But when
right,
you look at the implementation part and what actually gets developed and how it is served, it's still at the core of it is still end user computing.
right,
But I think I would call it as a base, and you can build the
right,
digital workplace on top of it.
right, right. And what are the trends that you have seen in this digital workplace landscape? Because you gave a good analogy as to the EUC team becoming the workplace team and then digital workplace team.
Yeah.
But what are the trends that you're seeing
So
defining?
the trend is definitely to even before the pandemic, the focus was more on experience.
Yeah.
The IT teams would like to call themselves like employee experience teams. Although
Right,
experience is still not owned by IT,
right,
it's still owned by the
right.
HR. But that's a
It's
fancy name to use. So the focus is still on experience. But what is important from technology perspective is the trend is towards measuring the experience, whatever the experience with the
right,
technology performance, like whatever how the tech is performing, how my device is
right,
performing, how my application is performing. I think that's the scope of end user computing. You can call
right,
employee experience and include experience with your application, with HR application, with other applications. But
right,
at the core of it, it's more about how your devices are performing and
right,
how able you are to access those things. So focus is on measuring that experience. At the
right,
moment, it can expand more. Of course, AI has opened up a lot new initiative which we can talk later. But the trend is more towards enabling the experience and focusing more on how workplace can be more verticalized, and how
right,
it can be it's going beyond just regular end user computing or device management. So because that market has kind of reached
right,
a
right, right,
saturation kind of
right,
thing, but still there's a lot of innovation happening in that space as well.
right, right. So because I think this is one space which is trending a lot and a lot of new things are coming and AI is given more possibilities. Because you speak to so many organizations in your day to day, how do you see organizations take approach towards adoption of these things? Because when I do a lot of consulting, the biggest challenge I get is you can deploy anything you want to, but how do you make sure you get the adoption done for these kind of
Adoption.
technology?
That's true. Providers do talk about enabling that experience, and it all depends on that service level agreement changing to experience level
Right,
agreement or
right, right,
XLAs. But the truth is that XLAs is not a service provider's responsibility.
right,
It's a joint approach that
right,
you have to have that adoption. You can deploy a chatbot that can reduce your incident tickets, but if users are not using it, it's not it the effort will go on
right,
waste.
right,
And I think it becomes even more important in case of AI. So
right,
I think experience level agreement should be designed in such a way that clients also know what is their responsibility, what is
right,
in scope, what is not in their scope. And we it's not like clients don't want to do it. It's just that
right.
how providers put it. If they say that
Put
we
it
can do it
right,
all, then of course clients won't like to do it. But if you define
right.
those roles and responsibilities clearly, clients will be more than willing to
Yeah,
participate in their journey. I think that's extremely important, the adoption part. And there are many case examples that I have seen in my advisory role and research role, and
right.
talking with many service providers, that there are some great examples where they have helped clients successfully adopt these changes. Of course,
Right.
the way you look at that generative AI or Copilot kind of taking up everything, not every client is at that level. In fact, with Copilot,
No,
nobody's at that level at the
no.
moment. But there are many clients who are taking the journey in the right way.
Right,
You should start from where you can start with the lowest hanging fruit and then go forward.
right, right, right. Yeah, it's an arrangement. It's not one. I think I agree with you, because when we tell a customer that we'll do it all for you, there is then they think, what am I going to do then?
Yeah,
Am I going to replace? You'll replace my people? What are we have been supporting? Let's say X customer for 20 years, and you're coming in and telling us that you'll do everything. It doesn't work out to be.
true.
And I agree with that.
And at one more point, I would like to say that end user computing, if you talk of core services like virtual desktops,
Yeah,
device management, it's it is all a nerdy business. Like
yeah, yeah,
the teams who are very much into it, they would not like to give it to anybody else.
yeah. That's true.
And
That's
it's
true.
and it's only I recently came to know 40 to maybe 40 to 50% of clients still own it in house,
Right.
and they don't want to outsource all of those things. So you have to
Right.
take that into consideration, that if clients are more comfortable doing those things themselves, and how do you
Right.
support them, that
Right.
becomes even more important.
Right. Right. Even meeting room services, for that
Yep, yep,
matter, they want to keep it in house, at least the
yep.
design part. Right. So, I mean, adoption. I know it's a one of the biggest challenges that to overcome. But what are the other common challenges that you see when implementing these digital workplace solutions?
I think the challenge is here that it all depends on how what is the role of the IT.
Right.
We talk of IT being an enabler, IT being a cost function. So
Right.
the majority of how you see the enterprise IT organization and how the CIOs are changing. Of course, the where you see it as a cost function, there are different set of challenges. It's all
Right.
cost optimization. How can I
Right. Right.
reduce my cost? If the CIO role is kind of integrated with more business functions, then there are
Right.
different set of challenges.
Right.
And
Right.
how
Right.
enabling maybe just reducing time to onboard, how it actually reflects in my
Right.
business
Right.
outcomes. And there are clients who have that level of maturity. So just like workplace end user computing team becomes workplace digital workplace experience, same way
Yeah.
CIOs became experience officer,
Yeah.
chief digital officer, and in some cases chief AI officers today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's all depend on different level of maturity. So how well the IT organization, because you can't do it without IT. So how well the
Right.
IT organization is matured in your own way. That based on that you will have different set of challenges. Is it more on the cost optimization part,
Right.
or more on
Right.
the integration with different business functions?
Right, right. So does it mean that if let's say we take a hypothetical organization X, and if that X has HR, IT, and different departments, is it fair to say that each department can become a product in itself, so that the CIO can look at that product and deploy solutions for that particular function, so that to get the business outcome, and then measure the experience all across different verticals that an organization has? Is it fair
Like,
to say that way?
that's a very ideal way to look at it. I'm sure that's a very interesting way to look at it. The IT organization definitely will always be an enabler. It can't sit
Yes.
on top of all business
Yes.
functions.
Yes.
So the I heard a very interesting thing from one of the CEOs in one of the events I attended, ex CEOs of a firm, who said that you are dealing with in an era where the lines between the line of business and IT are blurring, and
Right.
the business guys don't start with page zero of the user manual. They know
Right.
at least till page 10. So they are
Right.
not unaware of technology, so they know what is technology. The same
Right.
way, the tech guy, the IT guy, is not someone who does not know business at all.
Business. Yeah.
So even there is an integration with that, so it's all
Right.
mixed up, which is good for the industry. So I
Right.
think if that is true for an organization, in that case the IT organization would know what an HR would need, what a finance guy would need, what a marketing
Right.
department would need. So
Right.
they would be aware of those intrinsic details, and they can
Right.
design their technologies to support all of them.
Right. Right. And when you said that, it reminded me of my last podcast. I did it with a founder in US. He runs a AI company. What he said, and the company does business process optimization. So there are two transformations that he goes after. One is technology transformation and business process transformation, and integrating both the processes is where his work lies. So I think what you said basically is integrating business processes with the technology transformations, and giving the right technology to the business to enable business, but getting the right feedback from business to get the right technology in place.
I think that's where the verticalization of workplace will start.
Right.
So
Right.
the how, so if you are supporting a non-computing device like a health medical device equipment,
Right.
you
Right.
are able
Right.
to define the experience based on that device performance. You're
Right.
enabling a healthcare
Right.
professionals day in life of working. The
Yes.
same
Yes.
cannot be said about the banker, who may
Right.
have a different need. But as more and more workplace services become verticalized, I think that can be achieved, and I think we are moving towards that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Every company is doing that right now. In
Yeah.
my knowledge, even for that extent, all the OEMs are coming out with verticalized offerings these days.
Mhm.
So it's easy for an integrator like, like HCL, Wipro, whoever is there to
Yeah, with the
adopt that.
integrators, that's a big problem, because
Yeah.
they started with, I said, end user computing, which
Yeah.
was part
Yeah.
of infra services, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that common acronym of CIS from many companies, which say cloud infra services.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's common word across
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
service providers. See?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even though they call it employee experience or employee experience team or digital workplace team, who can support business as well, but they are
Yeah. Yeah.
part of CIS. They're still part of infra
Yeah.
services. So I think with GSIs, it is difficult. Maybe it's a challenging to break that mold and expand,
Yeah.
because they are anyway doing it. They're working
Yeah. Yeah.
with large transformation, working with other business functions.
Yeah.
So maybe we could see some time where it actually breaks off from the CIS thing, or maybe
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
CIS gets dissolved into other business functions. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting, to be very honest, how you can slice and dice the experience of an end user
Yeah.
and present it. It's been an exciting journey in that sense. So you spoke, I mean, obviously experience is what matters today for an end user. How have you seen companies measure that? Because I know I want to give a best end user experience, but how do I take feedback and measure it, that you have seen?
So there have been traditional ways of doing those surveys and reaching out to users how satisfied you are with
Right.
IT. The modern experience management solutions can provide telemetry based analysis. They can analyze the performance of your devices, your meeting devices, your headphones, your
Right.
laptops,
Right.
your applications, and they can provide an experience score based on that. At the end of the day, it is the experience of how, it is the measurement of how technology is performing, and that
Right.
is actually contributing to the employee experience. If I have to make 10 clicks to do one thing, that adds to my frustration, that means a low experience.
Right.
So
Right.
those kind of measurements are taken, and a quantified approach to experience measurement is given, and that's what the technologies like digital employee experience or DEX or end user experience monitoring is coming. So that forms the basic level of experience measurement, and it's always good to quantify that experience, and that's where the scope of the traditional end user computing ends. So
Right.
if you're not as mature to call yourself a digital transformation service provider, then you can end at that. You say, this is my experience. I'm
Right.
measuring your experience because I'm measuring the technology performance. A provider with a broader scope can use that as a starting point,
Right.
and can translate that. Is that reducing in more sales? Is it reducing in my contact
Right.
center guys, closing the incidences more faster? That
Right.
becomes a business outcome. So that's how the
Right.
experience is measured. One is at an technology level, and how it translates into a business outcome. I think those
Business
are
value.
two-way approaches depending on the maturity of client and the service provider. That's
Right.
what I've
Right.
seen based on my interaction.
Right. 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 No, I and do you think have you seen any companies because for me, experience is overall. It's just not oriented to technology. I could be using a laptop for 70% of my work, but 30% I'm still going to the office, using facilities, using furniture, using rooms. So, have you seen any company implementing an end-to-end experience measurement, not just the technology, but other aspects as well?
So, in fact, a lot of them, I can't name the clients of IAG that are doing that, but
Yeah,
nobody is at that ideal state. Nobody has reached that. And again, it depends on how integrated the technology function or the IT organization is with the
right,
business. So yes, for example, onboarding is an area
right,
many
right,
clients
right.
are able to improve a
Yeah,
lot based on experience, like how faster, because onboarding also has a business outcome. How quickly is the new employees start contributing to the
right,
organization. It's also a
right,
business function. It
right,
depends
right,
on how quickly they are onboarded, their device start working on. So it's a business outcome. So that is an area where many clients have improved, and the clients where the human resource function is works very closely with the IT
IT.
organization.
Yeah, yeah,
So they have actually observed a greater impact on the experience level, and
right.
I think there are many clients. I can't name one or two, but
Yeah,
and I of course cannot name them on the
yeah,
projects
yeah.
that I have worked on. There are some clients who have started on the core services of say virtual desktops, and they are
Right,
able to relate the performance of virtual desktop with their end-to-end say banking
right,
agents organization. So I think
right,
those who are able to relate that, they are obviously doing better, but nobody has reached that ideal state of managing end
right,
to end.
right, right. No, I think IT plus HR is the fair combination, because what I'm thinking is, after COVID, because of work from home, everybody was working too much than they were doing when working from office. So if your IT and HR, IT can give some metrics as to, this particular team worked, let's say, 12 hours a day for the past 2 months. If that feedback goes into HR, HR can do some meditation programs, some kind of other programs for that particular team, and create a strategy. So I think, I mean, yeah, HR's role has evolved, to be very honest, after digital workplace. It's just not HR
I was at
management.
a provider's event in Boston, and they had a customer panel to talk
Yeah,
about their success stories, and it was interesting to see one of the panel members title was chief people experience officer,
right.
and by that one may assume that they are from the HR, but she was the head of IT. And
Oh,
I hope their transformation is just beyond the naming of the title. I'm sure
right,
she's
right,
actually managing people's experience. But
right, right,
it was interesting to see that some clients are looking at that way.
right, right, right. I think similarly, so for sustainability as well, there
Yeah,
are sustainability experts now in every organization, head of sustainability, which was not there earlier.
yeah, true. Sustainability, diversity, and there are
Yeah,
business roles on that. With AI, we also see chief AI officer who are
yeah,
responsible
yeah,
for different new things.
yeah,
So definitely, this will
yeah.
call for new roles for sure.
Definitely. I was seeing that, I think 2 years ago, where you search Google, and what are the job functions will look like after 5 years, and there'll be different titles that will come up, and it's so
Yeah,
funny that these things are happening now.
yeah.
So,
That's true.
because we are talking about technology, and AI, machine learning, you can't leave them. So how is it, in your experience, how is that impacting end user services or digital workplace services?
So all the AI initiatives that we talk of today, not just end user computing, any other space also,
Yeah.
it's more on the proof of concept stage. Everybody's
Oh,
experimenting, everybody's trying.
right,
But
right.
nobody can deny that this has immense potential. You can't
Right.
compare it with the hype of metaverse at the end of last year because it came and went away.
Yeah, yeah.
This has real business use cases, and it has applications everywhere. Even
Right.
at the core level of end user computing space, you can use AI to generate prompt to spin off a virtual desktop. You don't
Right.
need somebody
That's true.
to get trained in that code.
That's true.
And if you look at UC space that you cover, we use Cisco, Zoom,
Right.
Teams, of course, Ring Central. Everybody is coming up with so many products. It's hardly differentiating. You can
Right.
have the meeting summaries. I know something was announced at Cisco Live maybe yesterday. I wasn't able to catch that up, but you see the advancements in meeting and conferencing solutions, meeting summary, document
Right.
creation. Now imagine all of that information coming at the back end. If that can be analyzed, Now, I talked about the performance of technology, maybe devices and application, and translating that to a business outcome.
Right.
Imagine measuring these performance of Teams and Cisco after AI implementation.
Right.
What percentage of your users are actually using a co-pilot
Right.
or
Right.
AI
Right. Right.
assistant? And how is it actually translating into a better performance of the business?
Right.
Are they able to close deals faster? Are they
Right.
able to generate more revenue? It's much easier to measure the business outcome in those cases.
Right.
So I think AI is also helping bridge that gap of tech performance versus business performance, and we see those conversations all the time.
Yeah.
Service desk is an area, for example, high chances of improving efficiency for
Right.
service
Right.
desk agents. So that's a lowest hanging fruit. Dex
Right.
is also
Right.
another example.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the industry, it's all been spoken about agentless desk now. So you don't need
Yes, we are
agents.
hearing about zero service desks
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
this the talk of AI started, and it's not something completely unachievable. Of course,
Yeah.
the role of humans will change, and these are exciting times, and it has brought all of us at the same level. Nobody's an expert in this, so everybody's learning.
Right. Right, right, right. Yeah, no, I'm sure, and even AI is going into places where I would not have assumed that it would go and do something, because and still I feel there is a misconception between Gen AI versus data analytics. Everything is not Gen AI. It's because
Yeah,
a lot of the data analytics has been there before the Gen AI trend, and you could analyze the data and you could just put a question and the prompts will tell you the answers to your queries. And but I've seen that misconception. There is a gray line between data analytics and possible Gen AI use
yeah. I
cases.
think I think the enterprises who focus very much on data analytics and have a robust practice out there, they are the best ones to
Correct.
reap benefits of
Correct.
generative AI, because
Yes.
it all boils down to data, how
Yeah.
well it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
structured, how well it is maintained. The better it is, the better will be the outcome of generative.
Right.
Generative AI is as good as you have a good data set. If you put garbage in, you will get garbage out. So it's
Right. Right.
nothing like that.
Right. Like even Chat GPT, when it got trained for almost, I think initially when it came out, it was trained until 2021 data or 2022 data.
Yes,
So
yes,
it didn't
yes.
give us the latest information. But now, if you look, and I'm sure you would have looked at so many people posting videos on LinkedIn of Chat GPT 4, where you can
Yes,
talk.
yes, that's amazing. True. That
You can prepare
voice
for.
interface and chat one AI interface talking to another AI interface.
Yeah,
So all those sci-fi films that we used to see can
it's
become a
crazy.
reality.
It's crazy. I don't know. I was looking at a video of Zoom CEO, I think yesterday, and he was saying that Zoom will be able to do digital twins of yourself. Like you could have possibly 50 meetings at once, and AI is behind that meeting. And yeah, I was thinking, what is he going to do with Zoom now?
Those digital twins are all acting the same way as
Yeah.
the actual person does.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe but I thought the technology is going in that space where, you don't really have to be present
Hmm.
uh, in the place to do anything. You could be anywhere and still reap the benefits of technology and
True,
drive
true.
business outcomes.
The possibilities are immense, and everybody is exploring. So
Yeah,
but again, to start to be at the ground and start at the basic level, start
right.
where it can be implemented and can be benefits can be reaped very quickly. Of course, sky is the
Right,
limit with AI.
right, right. Definitely, definitely. And yeah, and with this technology advancements, because I think last 5 years has seen lots of ups and downs. We have changed our own behaviors. Organizations have changed their own behaviors. Is it is it something that you see any long term implications? It could be good or it could be bad. Doesn't matter. But because of the shift in the past 5 years, any long term implications that you see that has happened with the organizations, how they are acting now, even with individuals for that matter. Any side effects maybe of the trend that's happened now?
I think that's a very very broad question. Maybe as a societal level, there are wider implications. And when social media came, so man is a social animal, and
Yeah.
they need interaction, right? So and when we became an online entity, we
Right.
tried to interact with like-minded people. Like your podcast name is also like-minded people.
Right, right.
So you
Yeah,
try to find like-minded folks on an
yeah,
online virtual world. You have a virtual identity,
right.
and you try to expand on that. You want to everybody. You said content creation. What the tech has done, it has enabled everybody to be a content creator. You talk of
Right.
influencers. You look at Instagram, YouTube, uh, LinkedIn, of course, and you will find people creating content indiscriminately. So
Yeah, yeah,
even those, there was an era where somebody would create a content and others would watch that content.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
even the watchers are also creating content. So
yeah, yeah.
it has changed dramatically, and AI has will change the picture. I being an artist, if I see an AI generated comic book,
Yeah.
I feel bad because
You
it
feel
took me
bad.
a lot of time to develop those skills. And if an AI skill could do that, then you tend to find out things where it differentiates an input given by a real human versus machine. So you don't find
Right,
that soul in those artwork. If you see the
right,
content generated by the artwork I'm talking about, I'm
right,
sure
right.
that it can do poetry. It cannot generate poets, and it
Yeah,
cannot
yeah,
bring out the role of humans plays a very critical role, and that's where everybody start becoming a content creator. So, and if they start using these technologies, what is that human element is what really will distinguish. There
right,
will be a lot of changes from societal level, and of course organizations are made of individuals.
right,
There will
right,
be changes out there as well, but the key point is to identify the value that the humans actually bring in and
right,
to augment that. um,
right.
so
No, I
I'm
think
not sure whether that answers your question, but I
no,
just
no, it
gave my.
does. It does, to be very honest, because what you're saying is we are becoming less human and more, you know, uh, predictable in that sense because you everybody knows you'll be using AI. So I
Yep.
think I would agree that long-term implications because of the last 5 years and the technology advancements has been we are becoming less humans. We are dependent on the technology so much that
Yeah, we must always remember we man has al- still always man has always been social animal. They want people
yeah,
who talk to like-minded people.
right,
If they
right, right,
cannot talk to a human, they would try to find a human in a virtual world. Maybe connect with
right,
someone across the oceans who has the same interest. Connect via Facebook. With
right, right.
AI, you may be connected to a completely non-entity, a non-human entity, and you
Non-human
can still
entity.
find like-minded people. So where is
Yeah,
that human touch? You need to find that.
right,
In
right.
that human touch.
Even to that extent, I was thinking few days ago when I used some AI product, I was thinking. And even using Google Maps, for example, when Google Maps came out, we when we did not have Google Maps, we used to remember the roads. If I have to go somewhere, I don't depend on a phone to
Yeah.
tell me where to go. Now, because of Google Maps, first of all, my attention span of the road has gone down. I don't look at the road, I look at my map. And then second thing, I just cannot remember where I'm going. And I've Google Maps have put me into ditches. It says there is a road, but there is a 10 feet ditch there. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that and what you said is very, I think excellent answer because uh, we are missing that touch because of dependency on technology. And I
But
think,
you can't run away from that as well. You
no,
will
no,
be
I know
doing
that
thousand
the balance is
different
so
things.
necessary. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
answered that, I was thinking it's all about balance. How you
It's
balance
about
the
value.
technology need versus your human element. And that's where the art example is fine because you're creating an art. You can take ideas from AI thinking about a topic, but you can
Absolutely.
still
So
create the
AI
art.
should help you, enable you to do better.
Right,
It shouldn't be seen as a replacement of anything. So I
right,
think that's
right,
where all organizations have to think about. If they are
right,
implementing technologies, it should be improving what they're actually doing. New
right,
revenue generation using AI may be a far-fetched idea at the moment, but
right,
you should try to do better in what you're doing at the moment using AI.
right, right, right. No, I mean, I think that's a fine answer to be very honest. To my bad question, but I think moving on because we've spoken a lot about what's happening today and what you do today. Um, I think I've always looked up to analyst firms like it could be Gartner, it could be someone else because when you look at the reports, first of all, there is a lot of effort goes in to create those reports, surveys, like you do yourself. And I've often looked up these organizations who are driving the changes. Now, when I saw ISG Global, in that space, I felt fine because there is, you can trust an organization which is actually analyzing on your behalf and then giving you the report. So I mean, because then you've been working at ISG for so long. Is it
Yeah,
what
12
is it that,
years.
yeah, 12 years now?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, what is it that you've seen? How the company has evolved, and how is it
Yeah,
different from
that's a
other analyst firms?
you asking that question and give me an opportunity to talk about it. I'm not sure how many people are aware. ISG is was known as a sourcing advisory firm for a long time. Still is to some extent. ISG advises on deals. That was the
Right,
perception. The differentiation that we brought in compared to other competitors, and they're all doing great job. Is If you look at any other vendor comparison report from any other research firm, they would say which vendor is good in what, and they would
right,
recommend a client to go with that vendor.
right,
But after the client chooses that vendor, what happens after that? That research firm does not take the
right,
responsibility of
right,
ensuring that the provider that you chose based on our recommendation, are they doing a good job or not.
right,
That's where
right,
ISG come in, because we just don't walk away after we recommend the vendor. We stay with you, and we make sure that that provider is doing a good job, because we make that service contract, and we make sure that
right,
that provider is actually delivering based on what they promised, even if they are the top right of a quadrant.
right,
They are actually delivering it. So we get those inputs not just by what providers tell us, what clients tell us. We also talk to our own advisory team who have
right.
seen that provider implement with 50 clients. They say, you know
Oh,
what,
right.
HCL is doing so many things. They are doing good things with these clients, but for four of my clients, they
Yeah.
kind of missed on
Right,
A, B,
right,
C, D, and similarly for other firms, they can see.
right,
So
right,
those
right,
kind of feedbacks is what makes us different, because we talk to providers, to advisors who are on the ground, and also
right.
doing, it's not just academic. It's yes, the data is involved, yes, the analysis is involved, but we also talk to people who have done it with few. We get a third lens as well from
Right,
that provider,
right.
which others may not have it.
May not have. Right. No, I mean I think that's what your differentiator then in that sense, because
Yep,
if
yep,
you go away, then you're also missing out on the data that you can get from the organization using a provider.
yep. So we have a very good benchmarking practice. We also have analysis on how provider and client relationship uh,
Right,
move forward. And the research that I do on Star of Excellence also talk about the satisfaction of that provider with the client.
right,
So all these kind of are tied up.
right. And I'm assuming ISG Global does that globally. There is no
Yeah,
geography
it is
restriction.
global. It is global. So the provider lens report that I write on future of work covers the US market. But when I talk about software solutions, maybe on digital employee experience, VDI, or
Right, right,
unified communication, they're at a global level. So we
right,
don't do that for each country. Like I write for US, many of my colleagues write for other
right,
countries,
right,
such
right,
as UK, Brazil, and the
right, right,
reason we do it at a country level is also another differentiator, because for other firms you can get top digital workplace service providers in North America,
right,
but
right,
the requirement in Canada versus United States may be different. So we
right,
do
right,
it top digital workplace service providers for US or for UK,
right,
not Europe,
right,
for
right.
Germany, for Brazil. So
Understood.
bringing more of a local flavor. That is
Yeah,
another thing that kind of differentiates
yeah.
the research that we do.
Definitely, definitely. Definitely. I think I, I feel that we've discussed a lot, and it's just like last few minutes of what I would want to discuss with you. So in your experience, especially in the digital workplace side, what are the industries that you're seeing being transformed the most?
I think the banking and financial services industry has always been at the forefront of adopting technologies. So, and they're always at the forefront of reaping the benefits of the new tech evolution. So they will pick any field, even if it is workplace or cloud or
Right,
cybersecurity. You will find more examples from this industry where clients have actually advanced to bring in more business differentiation. And then there is healthcare industry. The reason I say healthcare and maybe retail to some extent is because they're very much dependent on specific devices that they use, like healthcare devices. Retail has point of sale
right, right,
devices. So there are a lot of use cases for the core end user computing services and how they translate into broader transformation. So apart from that, there are all other industries have their own specific use cases, but I think these are the ones who have taken who are a little ahead compared to others,
right,
mostly the BFSI and the healthcare industries, I would say.
right. Even education, would you agree? Even
Yep,
education
yep.
has gone up.
Education, yeah, we kind of club that all under public sector, but yeah,
Okay,
education again is
right,
another great example. because wherever you see more dependence on specialized devices, we can talk about even manufacturing industries also.
Right, right, right,
We have specialized equipments and IoT technologies also coming into the picture. So as it more becomes more and more verticalized, I think
right,
all the industries will have good amount of use cases.
right, right, right. And I think not forcing, but getting people back to office is also driving transformation these days for a lot of
Yeah,
these companies.
it's not being accepted widely and resulting in
No,
negative sentiments, but I'm sure we'll see some adjustment done by these large enterprises, three days a week, 5 days a week.
yeah,
The reason is, when you come to office, why is it you're coming to office? I think that should drive that workplace strategy, instead of a blanket
right,
rule of all of you should come to office. So, for
right.
example, at ISG, we don't have any dedicated spaces at the moment. We all work from home, but
Okay,
whenever needed, we can be in office. But in office, we don't have dedicated spaces. These are just round tables where you can just interact with each other. Because when
right.
you come to office these days, you don't come to sit in a corner. You come
No,
to meet and greet, collaborate.
right,
So that's
right,
how the office designs should change. So you come
right,
to office only when you absolutely have to come to office. That's where the meeting rooms and meeting room
right,
service that you talk about, they come into the picture. So
right,
your clients have to decide on why they're calling people to office. They
right.
have to ensure that their experience is good, and they're actually doing what is it is required to come back to call people back to office.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and that's where the HR role will also become prominent on
True, true.
defining this
True.
return to
And I think
office.
it will happen. It's already happening with many cases
Yeah,
that I see.
yeah. So I think LB, this will be, I think, my last question to you for this podcast. But uh, you being an industry expert and seeing trends and seeing the companies how they implement it. If let's say if you were to give an advice to an organization starting or maybe in the midway to go to a evolved digital workplace or evolved future of work, what would that advice be for those organizations?
Yeah, I think they need to think about what they call digital workplace. If they are looking at a real transformation and experience of employees, and that results in business transformation, it's important to don't talk to just IT, but include
Right,
other business functions as well. But if your definition of digital workplace is all about device performance and
right,
making sure that people are enabled with their devices and application, then you're talking about end user computing. Make sure you're making best use of the available AI technologies to make these
right,
more efficient. So you have
right,
to look at how integrated and well defined your IT organization is. The scope is. I think based on that you can take
right,
decision.
right. And I think one last I would ask, because it should, because people listening to this should benefit them as well. If because of a lot of transformations in the digital workplace or end user computing, if anybody is in that industry working for into operations or wherever into this technology, as per you, what they should do so that they are fully enabled with the future technologies, and they are on the right track of not being replaced in the future.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are having such discussions with many clients. So we talk of, for example, service desk of the future or zero service
Right,
desk. You can't have zero service desk. There will always be human. The important part is what will that human do.
right,
So
right, right,
if your service desk agent today picks up a call and listens to the issues, the service desk agent of tomorrow should be a prompt engineer. They should be able to design those prompts that should come on a user's interface and can resolve the issues on their own.
right,
So I think it's important to keep a tab of new technologies, especially AI, and see how they can use that to elevate themselves. And there's a lot of potential, as I said, in all elements of digital workplace. We call it data devices, unified communication. How you can make sure that you provide a value add on top of the AI layer, because if you are
right,
below the AI layer, you will get replaced. But if
right,
you
right,
can leverage that to bring more value add, I think that is something that all of us should try to.
right, right. No, I mean, and again, Minal, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your thoughts, sharing what you do, and what, even in fact what others should also do. Really appreciate you coming in. And any last final thoughts that you want to share before we end the session?
No, I think it's been good. We have been interacting over LinkedIn for quite some time, and I've seen that you do a lot of these podcasts, and it's good that you call people, and it's important because all of us, as I said, are just learning. It's a
Right.
learning phase for everyone. So we all should talk more, share our ideas.
Right.
We learn
Right.
from each other. So we
Right.
thank you for doing this
No,
podcast.
yeah, I
And
mean, I'm glad that you're here. But I would also tell the viewers that if you're seeing Minal speak, and if you follow him on LinkedIn, he publishes his own the digital workplace technologies every week. I think that is a great resource to at least to start with. Look at where the future is heading, and then maybe make your own learning plans and go in this industry. But thank you, Minal. Thank you again.
thank
Thank you
you.
for coming today.
Thank you.